Hello, hope you're doing okay today. It's been a bit since I've streamed, but I figured I would jump on quickly and play around with this front-end mentor project, so hope you're doing okay. If you could let me know if you can hear me or not, that would be helpful to me, but I hope you're doing all right today. Wait just a couple seconds here to get some confirmation before I start moving ahead, but yeah, I'm excited to play around today. All right, I see something in the chat, but I can't read it, so I'm guessing we have liftoff. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and transition as if everything is working great, so hopefully that's the case. Let me get everything set up here so you can actually see what's going on. All right, here we are. Here's what I've got up, loud and clear, hearing confirmed. Awesome. Okay. We're going to work on this front-end mentor project, and I don't know how much we'll get done of this today or not, but hopefully we'll get a decent amount done. But yeah, the goal today is just to play around with some of the new Astro actions that are available, or Astro, options that are available. And I'm just going to actually go to the blog for this because they've released so much recently that it's hard to keep track. So let's kind of scale back just a bit here. We've got server islands. That's fairly new. We've got actions. We've got env variables that we haven't played around with yet. So just lots of really cool ideas here. So anyhow, I want to start to explore some of these. The most recent one is this content layer, which is essentially an upgrade to Astro's content collections. And I've yet to even get my teeth into this yet. I've been swamped trying to finish this course and with some extra projects I've taken on as well. So a lot going on right now, but hopefully we can play around with some of this. I don't know if we'll get to the content layer today. I'm not sure. I want to try to figure this out live. Basically, the idea here is that you can load in things that are not local markdown files. So in this case, like a glob, like let's say you have a bunch of like markdown files that are not set up for content collections. Well, now you can actually define them as a collection and pull them in, and then optionally define a schema like this right here. So that's the basic idea. I don't think that's going to be super useful for us today. You can also just pull in something from like a REST API as well. That will work just as well. So that's kind of what we're working with today. And again, I just want to play around with some of the options available to us. Let me get my camera set up real quick, and I don't know what this is going to show because this camera thing sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. So let me get this set up. All right. I'd love to know where you're watching from today. All right. For some reason, my camera is not cooperating, so. Try one more time, and then we'll call it good, and I'll just jump into the stream. All right. Well, I can't seem to get this thing to work, so I'm not going to let that hold us up, though. Nobody came here to see my face, so let's get in the stream. Okay, like I said, here we are. We've got this product list with cart, and I've got it just over this way. I haven't done anything with it, as is typical for my streams. The whole idea is to do it live. Again, I don't know how much of this functionality we're going to get. There's actually a decent amount here. I think they've got this set as a junior project, which makes sense, but there's a lot of little details to pay attention to. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do. But for right now, what I'm going to do is just jump over this way, and let's go ahead and npm create Astro latest. That works, and we're going to call this thing like product goodness list front emitter. So let's see what it does here for us. This is what I should have been doing when I was trying to figure out my camera. So, but it seems like enough of you are still around. Come on. Yes, let's proceed. There's a way to actually skip a lot of these questions if you want to, and I usually use that personally just so I don't have to do all this, but we'll do empty. Sure, TypeScript, that's fine. Let's not, because I'll do that in a second. Sure. Okay. So what it's going to do is go ahead and create this. If you haven't used Astro before, it is a content kind of rich web development platform, JavaScript platform. So what we're going to do is play around with this. And let's see, product. What do I have here? Get out of here. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to install a few things I know I want to use to start with. So I'll probably use React for this. That would be my go-to. Probably for the cart at least. I don't know, maybe we should just do this in vanilla JavaScript. Let's not overcomplicate this. So I guess I won't use that, but I will use server-side rendering. Maybe Tailwind, just so I don't have to think. I'll just do it standard CSS. Okay, so let's just npx astro add. Actually, we do need to go ahead and install. And then I'll npx astro add Vercel. And I don't know, I might actually use Astro DB as well. Maybe not. But at least want to use the Astro actions. So we'll do that, but that's already included by default now. It's just a optional experimental feature. All right, so over here, let's see what I want to play around with today. We got view transitions. We can play around with that. Astro DB, that's an option as well. If you have anything you really want to see, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll just pick whatever I feel like doing. All right, let's see where we're at. Still installing. Let's go ahead and think through a little bit of what we've got here. So here's the actual folder that we're in. And I need to drag in some of this data stuff. So by default, you've got an index page. That's what we've got right here. As far as how we'd structure this, I'd probably have some kind of cart page or that kind of thing. But the way they have this set up is just here with a confirmation modal. I'm guessing you have some kind of modal here on desktop too, but I don't see designs for that. So they have given you a data file, which I'm very thankful for, because it didn't used to be that they would give you these kinds of things, and that was kind of frustrating. So let's go ahead and pull that in, and I might alter it a little bit. Actually, you know what I should do? We should use JSON server and set this up as a little like kind of mini server that we're actually going to hit, and then we can interact with those as well if we want to. Or even better, we could use Astro DB and store this. So maybe let's do that just so we can play with an extra Astro thing. So I'm going to add Astro DB as well once we're over here. So it's right now adding a SSR adapter with Vercel. And going to update my Astro config. One of the best things about Astro is that CLI experience right there. So Astro add DB, we'll at least add that as well. And it's going to add a couple of files for us as well. So it'll install Astro DB, and then it will add a seed file and also a config file. And that way we get kind of type safety all the way around, and can build stuff locally using SQL. And then when we deploy, it will also be using SQLite. All right, so let's get all those up and running, and then let's npm run dev. And I'm going to jump over this way, and we'll pull this up at localhost 4321. It knows me too well, and once it's ready, it should populate. Why am I in light mode? I'm never in light mode. I was taking some screenshots for work, that's why. All right, there we go. So now we're set and ready to go, and you can see that we can define a table right here. And so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to come inside here, and we've got, wait, it should have created it for us. There we go, config file. And that's what we've already got. So what we need to do is create a table like this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this just like this and pull this in here. We need to pull in define table. Well, it should have pulled that in, but for some reason it's not. And it's not even erroring out at me. So, oh, it's still initializing our features. So what we need to do is define some columns here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up that data file just so we can compare. And let's make this smaller just for a second so I can see what I actually have here. Now for these images, I probably want these to be local. I'm not totally sure the best way to do this. I guess for right now I could just do it like this. Yeah, sure, I think that works. Yeah, we'll just pull this in like that. Can I verify that these are different sizes? I think so. All right, so what we're going to do is have a name here. This will be text. We're going to have a category. And this should probably be, well, right now we'll just have it as text, but you know, we could set this up as some kind of enum on the front end. We'll have price. This is a column.number. This, oops. And then finally, let's have our images. So I'll have image. And this is just going to be JSON, which obviously isn't super helpful right now, but that's okay. And we'll just call this like items or cart, store items, content, food. All right, that's what it is. It's food. All right, so now what I can do is grab all this here, and I should be able to jump over here to my seed file. And what we're going to do is seed this locally with this data. So I'm not going to have this up on Astro DB or anything like that, but now that we've defined all this, we can simply reference it. Let's see if I can do this here as one of these. Now, we could actually have some kind of relation here. So that also might be another thing we want to think about. So here we have a reference to a column ID. So to do that, I'd have to restructure the data file. So just for sake of time, I won't. But probably what you would do is have like these categories be their own table, and then you would reference them by ID here. And that way it's faster to, in this case, there's not much going on, obviously, but faster to query. And so anyhow, that would probably be what you would do. But for now, what I'm going to do is just come over here. Where's my seed? Right here. So I'm going to just await inside here, Astro DB.insert. And here it's going to, should already know that I need my food. Is that what we called it? I just haven't started up my dev server, so it doesn't know it here in type. And it's typing, but that's okay. I'll have values, and we will pull this in like this. And let's see, I've already got it on my clipboard. That should work just like that. And I do need to pull in food here, which again, I don't think it knows about yet, but let's go ahead and start this. npm run dev. And now, assuming we did everything correctly, it should know we're there. There we are. Cool. So now just to confirm this works, let's go ahead and open up our index file. Not that one. Right here. And you can see that I can just query it using Astro, or using the Drizzle ORM connection, and Astro takes care of all that for you. So right here, all I have to do is await like this. So let's go ahead and copy this so I'm not pasting too much. Come on. And here, we're going to pull this all in, and we'll call this food. And I guess that's food, so that's fine. And let's query this, and I've got this pulled up here. If I refresh here, something should happen. Here we go. So I've got all this stuff being pulled in now, and it knows what it has, and you'll notice that it's assigned IDs to these things as well. So each of these items now is being pulled in the kind of by local Astro DB. Now, once you set this up with Astro Studio, you can push this as well, so it's actually going to be in production. But for now, we'll just use this locally. But I am actually loading this from a database file now instead of just that JSON file. So nice and easy to get set up here for however many minutes we're in on this. And yeah, Astro DB is a lot of fun to work with. It's still in, I don't know what they're calling it, alpha. It's early stages, and Astro Studio itself is still underneath private beta, I believe. But you can play around with all this and host it yourself, because what it actually does is create a local SQL Lite file right here. So you actually see you've got all your data here locally. So it's just an SQLite file directly here. And I think it's using, I'm trying to remember the service they're using. It's going to come to me in a little bit, but if you remember, you can add it to the comments, but it'll come to me. Anyhow, it's one of the really popular ones to use SQLite with. So that's what they're going to use in production. But here locally, you see you've just got a local integration or content DB file. All right, so now we've actually got our content showing up here. We can use Astro's new server components to pull those in, which would be kind of cool. Not server components, server islands. Terso, thank you, Simon. I knew it would come to me. Well, it didn't, but it came to you, so thank you. And great to see you here too. But nice and easy to work with, Astro DB. Let's play around with some other things. So the idea here would be we'd want to pull these things in, but we might want to have some kind of state here that is like a skeleton loading animation. Well, you could do that client side, but wouldn't be great if you didn't have to do a bunch of JavaScript on the client and have just a simple little fetch that then streams in data from the server. And that's what these Astro server components are all about. So let's jump out here, because I know at least they've got this on the blog, and I don't remember where it is in the docs. So what's new? Server islands right here. Hey, Simon. If you haven't watched Simon's Tailwind stuff, number one, where have you been? And number two, he's got a bunch of new stuff out too, so go check him out. Plus, all the pictures of Australia, man, you're making me want to move. Here we go. So Astro server islands. Here's what we're doing. We're gonna statically statically build here with just. Actually, let's look at an example rather than me talk about it. We can pull in here these kind of loading animation states, and you'll notice that then when the data streams in from the server, it's just going to replace all that, and it's super easy to get started with. So rather than talk about it, let's do it. So here we've got experimental server islands. You need some kind of SSR adapter because it's obviously using server-side rendering here. So I'm just going to come over to my Astro config, and we'll set that up here. And now all we have to do with it at server or hybrid, which we've got, we can have some kind of component with a fallback here that just falls into this fallback slot, and that's what we'll load to start with. So let's go ahead and set something up here. And we also need a couple other things going on, I guess, to make this work. So let's add another folder here. We'll call it styles. If it will create a simple folder for me. Okay. Why is this thing yelling at me? What's your deal, prettier? Okay. Inside here, we'll have main.css. And let's just have like a boilerplate, a real basic clear here. After, we'll say box sizing, border box, padding 0, margin 0. Sorry, 7, I'm not using Tailwind today. And then we'll pull this in here as well. So let's import. And you know, one more thing I want to do is let's add config compiler options. I'll put my base URL here, and let's just add some paths for some aliasing. So we'll say anything like this is equal to, I think this is right, src this. Let's see. All right, so now if I want to import styles, that could have gone better. Do I have to restart this? Let's try. So we're going to import styles. Did I set that up wrong? Let's check. This maybe? I always forget how this works. Styles, main CSS. There we go. Okay. So now this should be pulling in over here. And once this reloads, assuming this works, string literal, I don't know what that means. That was the problem. All right, third time's the charm. tsconfig needs another. Are we good there now? I think we're good. Okay, there we go. All right, just to make sure this is working, if I come in here to the body and say like background is blue, there we go. Okay, so now we're actually pulling this in. This is obviously going to be our global CSS file, so we can do quite a bit in here if we want to. For now, what I'm going to do is let's just figure out whatever typeface we're supposed to be using, so we can at least be kind of within spec. Where are we at here? Style guide. Red Hat. Okay, 4, 6, and 7. So we'll set the font family to Red Hat. Well, we'll figure that out in a second. Why don't I come over here first of all, though? And since we just have a single file here, I'll just add it directly in here. We've got fonts, red hat, mono red hat text. I think this is it. Oh, man, what was that? 4, 6, and 7. Okay, and I can just copy this right here. This is just a raycast extension, so I don't have to type that out like a cave person. And then I think that should work here as well. Actually, let me just come over here. Make sure I did all that right. So red hat text, I guess, is what it's called. Maybe that's my problem. And then I guess we can just do sans serif as a backup. All right, that works. Cool. Naming things. All right, so at least we've got that in there now. What I want to do next is work on that server islands thing. So what I need to do is create a little component. So let's do that. So we'll say components, and then let's call this product card or something like that, .astro. So this should get in a card component, and that will have the same structure as this right here, right? So it's going to have the same exact kind of structure to it. So we can also create a little type. So we'll do types. Where are we at? Not tiles. Misspelled. Let's do types like this. We'll just say like product.ts. Export type. We'll call this product. And let me go ahead and grab, where's my config? For that, that'll work. Just so I kind of know what I'm dealing with, although that won't be super helpful when I get around to the image. This will be a number. And then this image is going to be, let's see, what do we have? What are my keys here? Seed file, right, like this. All right, so for each of these, I guess these are going to point to local asset directories. So I guess we would just say that each of these are going to be a string for now. I think that should work. Come on. There we go. All right, just like that. Yeah, sorry, Simon. About half the time I do Tailwind, about half the time I just write my own stuff. But in this case, I know what's going to happen if I use Tailwind. I'm going to try to make this look good, and I really want to focus on functionality, which never happens, even though I say I will. So it's a, you know, self-discipline. So we're going to get inside here, const. What are we pulling in? Well, we're going to pull in a product. This will be astro.props. And what we've got here is, what am I pulling in? Type props equals the product will simply be my product type, like that. So now I know what I'll be getting here. So I know all these items that I'm getting in so that I can actually scaffold this out. So I'm not sure what this would be semantically. This doesn't seem right, but I want to say it should be some kind of article. That's not probably right. Let's just make it a div for now. I don't know if it's better to guess something that doesn't work, but I think that'll be fine for now. So what we've got is a few sections here, right? So we're going to have this like image section with the actual image being pulled in. Then we've also got like the text, the content section, and then kind of embedded in this image section will be the button as well, which it looks like we've got a couple different states to think about. We've got the actual like add to cart button itself, and then we've got plus and minus, which again, I'd probably use something like React for this, but I want to focus again on functionality of just like interacting with these tools rather than setting up our own, like making it all look perfect and work perfect, if that makes sense. I want to focus on Astro, in other words. So let's get something scaffolded out here, just something basic for now. So we can actually use our Astro image component as well. And I guess I should probably make sure I actually have these images where they're supposed to be. So what does my seed file say? All right, so let's change all of these here. Is that going to mess anything up? No. So let's change all of these here to assets like that. And then I think I should be able to just come in here, even though this is remote. Like it'll be in a database file. And I should be able to pull in all the assets. Hey, why don't I just do this? That'll work. Yes. All right, so let's go ahead and see if this works. So I should be able to pull in an image component like this. And right here, let's see, does this thing know? It could yell at me, it's possible. Let's pull in the product dot image dot thumbnail like that. All right, and then we have an alt like that. And then let's go ahead and come into my index page. And I'm just going to pull in a product card. And I guess what we could do is go ahead and put this inside of like a section. It said like ARIA label. Like cart items or something like that, or products. All right, like that. And then let's go ahead and just map over those foods we get. And we'll pass each food here to a card. What do I call that thing? Product card. Come on. Like that. And then we'll pass in the product as the F, I guess. Does that work? Name, string, product. Images are incompatible. Unknown. It'll be fine. All right, right now I'm not going to worry about it. I just want to see if we can get this thing working properly. So let's come back over here. Get image. SRC must be an imported image. Oh yeah, so it's got to actually pull that in. So all we can do instead, let's just assume that these things are hosted. There's a couple ways to handle this, but I think for now, just to make it as easy as possible, let's go ahead and just move both of these right here. We'll just move these to our public directory. We're not going to get as much benefit out of Astro's image components, but that's okay. Then I'm going to come over here to my seed right here. We're going to change all these right here to just point to this. Come on. Like that. That should work. And then we'll set a width and a height here as well. So I don't know, we'll do like 200, and height, we'll do like 200. And that at least will pull those things in. Cool. All right, so now we've got those things working. Let's go ahead and come over here to this right here. And yeah, let's just do this locally, I think. And we'll give it a class. All right. We'll call this like product wrapper. And here, let's just display grid. Grid template columns, repeat, auto, fill. I can never remember how this goes. Let me just look it up. Grid. Let's just use flex. Gap. I don't know. We'll do like 2 rem, 1 rem for now. Again, I'm really trying hard not to style this. I'm doing so great. Flex wrap of wrap. Okay, just like that. Let's also like throw padding on here of like 2 rem. Why is this not working? Because that's not how you do that. Okay, there we go. We'll do display grid here. Let's just leave it alone. Okay, so now we've got all these items in here. What I want to do is go ahead and build out kind of the basic structure of what this is supposed to look like. And I'm going to do so great here, not like doing all this manually or making it all look great. You're going to be so proud of me. We've got a button right here, add to cart or something like that. Not super important what it says. And then we'll have our content below here. What in the world is this? There we go. Okay, so we've got our add to cart. We'll call this like upper. Doesn't really matter because we're going to have scoped styles here. And then here, we'll call this, let's just call this content. And we'll call this image. Or top is fine, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so down this way, we've got a couple things. I just don't remember what they're supposed to look like. Where are we at? Preview. Okay, so we've got add to cart, title. What do we got here? Seed. So waffle with berries and $6. Let's see what that, okay, so it's the category, the name, and the price. Is that all right? Yeah. Category name. The category is creme brulee. That makes no sense. Okay, that's fine. So we got the category, the name, and the spice. The price. Where are we at? Okay, so let's pull in, let's actually just destructure a lot of this. So we'll grab this from product, like that. And what I want to grab is the category, the name, the price, and oops, we might as well pull in the image where we're at it. Okay, so we've got the category. I'll probably have this in like a small tag. The name would be like probably an H3. I don't know. Can't remember what this is supposed to. Yeah, we got H1. I don't know, it might be an H2. It doesn't really matter. Let's just keep it real easy and go paragraph. Done and dusted. We'll go name. And for the price, we'll do paragraph. That's fine. Let's do price. And then let's do toLocale string. This will allow us to format this using JavaScript. And we'll do currency. Is that right? Let's check. Almost. There's like a style too you have to put, I think, currency. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Okay, so now we've at least got this stuff kind of semi-structured. I will go ahead and just put this in an article, I think, and then let's have some locally scoped styles just to keep this as simple as we can. So this will just be this individual article. Well, for each of these, it'll just be the individual article. So we'll say display of grid, gap like, I don't know, 1 rem. See, it spaces everything out there. Then what I want to do is grab, we can just nest this actually, like this. So let's grab the top section and we'll just set this position to relative so that I can take that button. Look at all this nesting. I hate nesting like this actually because a lot of times it just causes you problems. It's great for like pseudo selectors and hover states and stuff like that, but honestly, like this is a recipe to like hate your life. So don't do that. Let's just position. Actually, you know what we should do? Let's just set this to display of grid. And then we could, well, we could set this up in a couple ways, but I think let's just keep it real simple. And that way, again, I'm not tempted to style this because that is not why we're here. All right, so we've got the basic stuff here, right? The basic structure. Now what I want to do is have some kind of fallback state. So what I don't remember, because I've only played around with this once or twice, is if you have to do this here, or if you can actually have the slot, the fallback slot directly here, like in the component itself, because that would clean stuff up a little bit. So I don't have to have like the fallback out in my Astro, in my index page. So let's try it both ways. Let's first of all come over here. It'll be fine. You're going to be fine. It's going to be great. Let's do defer, server defer, like that. And now what's going to happen is as it's pulling that in from my server, which I should probably find a way to like slow this page, this call down a little bit. How do I want to do this? Let's just slow the browser directly. That might be the easiest. Although I don't know if that will affect it since we're locally. Since we're on like local data. Man, I can't see anything. Come on. Yeah, I don't want to use Tailwind because I don't want to style it. Because then I'll get distracted. That's what happens every time. So by forcing myself to write my own, I know I won't do it. Which is the whole point. I want to focus on these. So okay, now we're going to slowly come in and you see now they're populating very slowly. All right, that's a little too slow for my liking, but you see the point, right? And I've disabled cache, so every time it's going to have to do that. So what do we do in that kind of intervening stage? That's where the fallback comes into place. So if I come back over here, can I just do like a div that has a slot? I don't think so. Fallback? Let's try it. I'll just have like a paragraph with like lorem 30 or something. Let's see what happens if I do this. 3G might be a little too slow. Come on. Okay. Is it going to remove that? I don't think so. Okay, so I've got to actually do this where I call it. That kind of stinks, but I guess it makes sense. Either way, you're muddying up something, either the component itself, but it'd be nice if you could have like a fallback up here and then the actual like content down here or something. I'm just thinking like, I don't want to pull this in and have to like manually do this, but that's what I'm going to have to do, right? So where I'd have the product card finishing like this, and then in here we'd have a div with fallback, especially if like the CSS is similar. Now I kind of lose my scoping too, right? So like this fallback here, oops, this would be slot is fallback. Here I'd probably have something very similar to here, right? So I'd have like this same basic structure. So now I have to kind of duplicate this code. So that's something I wouldn't mind seeing changed, but nobody asked me. In here we're going to have like an image div. So here we just have like image, something like that. We'd have a button here. Probably this would be like a button div. This would be category name. And here we'd say like price, something like that. So now I have to basically redefine all this stuff here. So let's do a local style script here. We'll have the, maybe I should wrapple this. We'll do like a skeleton card. And then down here I can just do skeleton card. And we could do something like, well, I guess we'll just, yeah, let's just do display grid for now. So we've got those two sections kind of stacked. We'll do a padding of like 1.5 rem. Under here, we'll have our top section where I'll have my image. I'll have this be a width of like 200 pixels and a height of 200 pixels and a background color, just so you can kind of see the power of what the server islands are doing here. We'll do something like gray, doesn't really matter. Button as well. Let's see, maybe we should just have both of these be about the same. So for right now, I'll just call them both button. Again, none of this you should do exactly like this, but I just want to play around here with Astro. Let's say like height is like 20 pixels. Width is something like 200 pixels, 100 pixels. Background color here will be light gray. That'll work. Border radius, maybe like 5 pixels. Now you can see already I get this kind of loading animation to come in here, right? And then eventually it's going to pop in with everything else it needs. Let's see, what are the sizes I got here? 200 by 200, right? So that should all be right. So maybe, yeah, that works. Okay, cool. So let's just add the same padding to the product card. And that way it should at least look similar after it comes in. So automatically with these server islands now, what I'm getting is HTML kind of set up as a fallback. And then as those individual items come in, they just stream in the HTML and replace these sections. And you can see how, you know, what a nice experience that is once it actually gets in. Now it has to actually load the images as well. So I mean, obviously you've kind of got a blank spot there to start with, but really nice to work with here. So let's take the category. We're just going to make this button 2, and then the name will be the only thing I have to think about. So let's come in here and we'll have the name, and this can be very similar to this, but let's maybe change it to like 140. All right, so one more refresh just to see what this is actually doing. The server islands are going to stream this stuff in, and I've got this kind of as a fallback right now, and then it pops in with all the rest of that stuff. Gap of like 2 rem, whatever I put last time. Now here's the cool thing. If I come over here to my network, you'll notice that I've got, if I can clear this here. To start with, as soon as I load this, let's go all and clear all this. Not record it. You'll notice that I'm not going to get any client-side fetches to go grab all this data. Now there is technically a little inline script, but it's not a separate load. And then what it's going to do is hit my endpoint. In this case, you'll see that it's going to be my JavaScript endpoint, and then it should pull all this stuff in. Why can't I see nothing? What am I filtering? Let's do it again. Okay, there we go. So you see how I've got this stuff, but all these are individual fetches, and as they stream in, the data now comes in, and now I've got these images coming in. So all of these right here, look at what they're returning. They're just returning the actual HTML exactly as defined, right? So I've got the back, the fallback, and then these things are streaming in individually as they come and just pulling in and dropping into those individual slots. So I just love this as a concept. And I know like this in concept has been around for a bit. It's like pre-rendering in XJS. And I know PHP has had stuff like this forever, but it's nice to get this in Astro. And that's what I'm excited about. So anyway, I think that's really cool and kind of a fun thing to play with. Now, we've got stuff loading from our local database, right? Right up here. We're then displaying this down in our cards. Obviously, this typing isn't quite correct, but it'll deal with it. We'll be fine. What else do I want to play with that they've released? So like I mentioned, they just released, at the very beginning I mentioned they released this new content layer API. So there's lots of cool stuff in here as well, but this doesn't super apply to what we're doing. So maybe let's talk about some other options we have in Astro. So if we look at the original product, we've got this add to cart button, and it should add to our cart over this way. So there's a couple different ways we could handle this state. We could have some kind of database storage where they're actually storing this locally, or storing this in our database. So like if they were logged in, we want to store like a potential cart that they're going to log out with, and that way we know what they've got. We can send them emails and annoy them and things like that, right? So that's an option we could do. We could also store this in some kind of cookie locally for them as well, so when they come back, it remembers who they are, even if they're like on a guest checkout. I'm not sure where this music is. Let's skip forward there. So anyhow, that's a couple options we have. We could play around with some of this thing, some of the stuff like this confirmation modal, but there's nothing uniquely Astro there. So maybe let's just think a little bit about maybe view transitions. That might be kind of a cool thing to do. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is whenever we add a new item to cart, we're not going to do this fancy like plus add minus button. That would be cool, but I just, again, I want to kind of stay focused on why I'm here today. So when we click plus, we want to add this to our cart over this way. So I guess for now, just to go ahead and use Astro DB a little bit more, let's come over here to our content for our DB. And, oh, not that, kind of fig right here. And let's define another table. So we'll say like cart. Obviously you don't want to do like one cart for your whole thing, but we're just going to sample this out. So my columns here, let's see, we're going to have individual items as part of the cart. So again, like essentially now we're going to be able to reference these over this way. And then we can also add an amount to that as well. So if I could jump back over to the Astro docs. Let's see, where did we look at that? Nope. I guess we're going to have to manually do this. So I'll come to my docs and come down to Astro DB. You might remember that we can reference other tables. So if I come down this way, we can reference the table right here. So what we're doing is I'm saying, hey, this author ID points to all this right here. Now these obviously have IDs as well. They automatically added those. You might remember that when we pulled it in. Let's see, I think I'm still console logging that. No. Oh, also I should mention those server islands, like they create little post endpoints, and that's what we're actually pulling in here. But let me come back up top here. So you remember how these have IDs. Let's go ahead and manually set this though. So we'll say column.number, and then we'll say primary key equals true. So now I know they all have this ID right here. So what I can do is reference this ID down this way. So let's do that. So we're going to say like food ID. And this will be equal to column.number, since that's what it is. We're going to reference. So reference is like this. And that is going to reference the food.columns.id. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, I need to basically be able to reference one of those. And then we also want to have like probably like the count or something like that, or num of items will be column.number, like that. I think that works. And now let's go ahead and export the cart. Again, this is not very robust because we've got one user, one cart, but that's okay. So let's come over here to the seed database, and we've already awaited insert food. Let's await DB insert cart. Is that what I called it? The values. And let's start with, let's see. Let's go ahead and add an ID here as well. I don't think we're going to need this, but it's not going to hurt. And again, it will add it itself if we don't, but just so I know what I have. Now this, yeah, let's leave that alone. Let me just come in here and we'll have a food ID. I think that's what it's called. And we'll say that's 1. And then the cart. Num of items, we'll say is 0. And this needs to be its own little object, like this. Okay, so that should be good to go. So let's come over this way. We've already got this section here. Is this thing gonna collapse for me? There we go. Yeah, let's go next to this. We're gonna have a little, I don't know, I guess it'll just be a div. We'll have a class of cart on here. And in fact, this should just be its own component. So let's do that. So we're going to say cart.astro. And this will pull in a lot of the same stuff we have in our product here, right? So let's pull all this in here. All right, so it's going to take in a cart. And this cart here. We'll have a product. Let's see. What we need to do is actually grab this to query the individual items here. So that's something else we want to think about, is how we actually grab you know, the items that are connected to that author. So that'll be something else to think about. So like this right here, we'll have to inner join this. So I guess when we're awaiting this, it should give us this back. And then these comments should just have both of them on it, right? So I think it'll be like this. The product will have the product, and then we'll have a num of, you know what, will this just be, so in their example, they've got comments. They're pulling in both the author, which is from the author ID, and then that gives them destructured comment and author. Comment.body, comment.author.name. Okay, yeah. So here I should be getting, the cart is going to give me both a cart. I think that's right. I guess this would be cart capitalized. Let's figure out what we're getting before I start getting ahead of myself. So for right now, I'm just going to get rid of this like it never happened. And we'll comment that out. Okay, so what I want to see is what I get when I pass this in. So let's come back over this way. And the first thing I probably should do is go ahead and pull in my cart equals await. And I guess this is its own component, so we could just do this over here too. So I guess we don't need to pass in anything. Let's just grab all this, and I'll pull this in here. I'll say cart equals db dot select. And here what we want to do is select it and then grab from it all this stuff too. So maybe actually this might be easier to copy. So let's grab all this. Copy this here. Drop this in. And here we're going to do it from the cart. We're going to grab the, what was that called? Product? Where the cart dot product, what do we call that? Food ID equals, in this case, this would just be the product food.id. Is that right? Something's yelling at me. db.select. What am I messing up here? That should be correct. Type product. This is food. No, this is cart. Nope, this is food. All right, does that make sense? For the cart.food ID, what did I call that thing? All right, why is this upset at me? Cart. Okay, that should be correct. Oh, it's not pulled it in. Oh, that's weird. Okay. And then this should be food. Oh, it's because it's named cart. Okay. Component. There we go. Okay, now we're all happy. And then I have to pull an EQ too. All right. Well, that was complicated. It shouldn't have been. Let's come in here and grab the cart, and we'll console log this. All right, so now, if I come all the way down here, I should be getting, once I load here, and I guess we actually need to pull in the component, right? So we're going to have the cart. Nope. Cart component. There we go. All right. So now I should actually be getting all this here. Yeah. So I've got my cart, and it's got an ID. It's got a food ID that points to this that we've already queried as well. And then we got however many items we have in the cart. Okay. So now we know what we're actually getting. Let's come back over here. And it should know what all this is, right? Yeah, so it already knows itself. That's good. Let's set these next to each other just as a basic principle. So I'm going to come in here to my body, and I'll just do display flex and like gap of, I don't know, 2rem or something like that. Okay, so they should be next to each other. And let's go ahead and just do a style here. We'll have this be class, come on, of cart. And let's grab cart, background color. We'll do white, I don't know. Do I need a background color then? I guess so, because I'm going to do a box shadow, even though I shouldn't. I'll do like 2 pixels, 2 pixels. Is that what I want? We'll do like light gray. All right, and then let's go ahead and add like padding 2rem so it shows up somewhere. Right there, okay. I guess let's not offset this then. Or I guess we could do that, offset a touch that way. Let's do 0 pixels here. Why am I adding a box shadow? I think I just wanted to see it. Let's just do a border color. Border 2 pixels, solid and light gray. Light blue, light gray. I don't know, something like that. Okay, there we go. So now we've got this amazing looking cart. We'll do height will be fit content. And we'll do, I guess width, we're already there. But since it's flex, it's trying to jump down that way. Let's also make this smaller. Maybe we can fit all those in there. Or I can just make this smaller. Or bigger, because that kind of annoys me. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we've actually got a cart. Let's pull this stuff in. And what I want to do is hook up these buttons to where when we click them, they add them to our cart. So they're going to make a post endpoint. So we can use Astro's actions as well. That'll be cool. And then we'll use view transitions, and then we'll call this done. All right, first of all, let's actually get this thing built out the way it's supposed to be-ish. I mean, is it really going to be? No, but that's okay. We'll be close. Okay. Cart. I just want to see this picture blown up. Let's see. Cart. Image. Where's my designs? Design. Active states. Empty. Order comp. Here we go. Okay, that's what I want. All right, so we've got our cart. however many items we have, right? So this should be just the number of items in our cart. So I guess we could do this in a couple of different ways. We are right now like setting a number of items manually. That I guess that doesn't super make sense because we already know how many we have. I also didn't structure this well at all. Okay, let's go back. Don't code early in the morning, people. So here we're gonna have like cart items. Yeah, this needs to be like cart items. Can I do like references, like multiples? What is this thing? Can I do like an array of these things? Where's my... So to see how they set this stuff up. So each comment. So they have a single author. Because right now this is pointing to a single food ID, right? And I don't really want that. So what I actually want would be like items or something like this. And technically, I guess I'd want this to be like, this is now basically like a this is like a one-to-one relationship. How would I want to set this up instead. Can I just stack these for now? I'm so bad at database stuff because I'm mostly front end. And so, like, I only interact with stuff when I'm already given the content. Don't code early. When else am I supposed to code? I know, right? Hey, Christina, welcome. All right, let's just go on a little. Let's see. I don't want to waste a ton of time here. So I think right now what I'm going to do, even though this is not the right thing. So basically what I need to do is set this up. I just can't, off the top of my head, I don't want to try to figure this out right now. I don't think it would take like about 5 minutes, but I need to be done soon. So what we're going to do is just do number of items inside here. And I'm just going to make this JSON. And then I'm going to come back over here to I don't want to do this. This is dumb. Let's do cart items or something like that. Oops. Yeah, so I think if I do this, how would I set this up to where, okay, so they've all got individual posts like this. So I could find many. How do they actually set up the structure? Fields users invited by users. So let's see. Feel free to help me out too if you know where to point me in the right direction. I just don't remember how to set this up structurally. You can tell I set up a lot of databases, huh? Name, returning. So let's go back here. Whatever. And get out of here. References, articles, fields. So here they're showing how to do it here. This is obviously using PG table instead. Proper relation name. So just wrap it in a menu maybe? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Do I get this from somewhere? I just haven't set this up before recently. I've done it on one other project, but let's see if they give you access to. Let's go in here. Optional, true, default. On unique. And I really don't want to get stuck here. All right, this is not difficult if you set up stuff like this a lot, but I just don't know how to do this. Let's see, can I pull in like a mini? Or like some kind of array or something. That's not going to work, but let's see, Astro. Let's see, drizzle, define, table, one too many. Let's try here. Left join. I'm just awaiting there. I want to actually set up the schema. This is dumb. Okay, let's just, for now, I guess since I can't figure this out off the top of my head, I mean, it has to be like just some kind of simple, like mini function or something they give you. I just don't know where that's at. And I don't remember. So let's just say like number of items instead. And we'll do it real simple. Number of items, and we'll do like 0. Or, whoops, column dot number. All right. I'll figure that out after stream, I guess. Let's come over here. Number of items, that works. Okay. Is that right? Number of items, column ID. Yeah, that should be fine. All right, so let's restart this. And for now, what I'm going to do is just add to the cart. We're just going to call this, we'll say like number of items. This is not going to be nearly as cool as I wanted it to be. And then we'll have them put right here. So we're going to select cart. From cart, like that. There we go. So this should basically just give us a number, right? So I should be able to say cart.number. Number of items.
So don't be that person. Take your time and really enjoy the process as much as you can. And
oh, it's going to give me an array of those. Duh. All right. So since we only have one cart, this whole thing is structured horribly. But what I wanted to show, goodness, is I wanted to show how to add these things, and then we're going to have some view transition stuff, some magic. All right. Let's see. What should we set up first? Let's come over to our card component. That's annoying. All right. And we're going to say, we'll give this thing an ID, which I guess we'll need to have its ID on here too. So let's grab its ID here. Now let's just do class because they're all going to do the same thing. So we'll see. Actually, I usually do like a data dot add or something like that. And then let's add a little script here. Again, just trying to keep it simple. Const add to cart buttons. We're going to grab all these that have the data add attribute. And then we're going to add, oops. For each button, we're going to have button to add an event listener. We'll listen for a click. And whenever it's clicked, we're simply going to, right now let's just console.log that it's been clicked. Make sure it's actually working. Clicked. Let's check. Okay, it's clicked. Cool. So now what we want to do is actually hit an endpoint that will update all this for us. So let's jump back out here and we're going to look at actions. All right, so once we set this to true, so let's do that. Astro actions. What this allows us to do is to set up a little form handler essentially, or whatever we want it to be. But here in actions index.ts, let's come back out here. So we'll say actions index.ts. And I'm just going to grab all this here and drop, come on. Drop this in here. In this case, what we want is just like add to cart or something like that. And we're going to take in, I guess this is saying it's a form. We could do that too. We're just going to basically take in like a number or something like that. It doesn't really even matter what it is in this case because we're not passing anything since I couldn't figure out the database quickly. So this will be just a z.number. And I guess we can pass this in as an object. That's fine. And then what we're going to do is update our cart. So in here we can await db.insert. And let's see. Astro increment. Trying to understand what you're trying to do. I want to rubber duck debug and maybe I'll be able to help. I don't know where that was at, but I can't even spell increment. Increment. Let's see. So I can just set that thing. Okay, cool. So we're going to update the table, not insert. So we'll update, and this will be our cart. We'll set, all right, let's see, what are they doing here? They're incrementing individual, okay. So they're doing like an actual SQL thing. Okay, I just want to set, let's just update. So we've got a couple options here. You can update and you just set the individual item here. So in this case, we've got the cart. So let's actually pull this in so we can get some typing here. And I just want the number of items, right, will be, where's my increment function? Isn't this what we were just looking at? Yeah, increment, okay. Why is this not pulling? Oh, they actually have it manually written here. Is there's no way to do this? Set method like below. So there's no like way to do this manually. So what if I pull this in like this? Okay. Do I have to pull in SQL as well? Okay, that's fine. And then this would be cart dot member +1, I think. All right, so what we're doing is creating this Astro action that in this case isn't taking in anything, but normally the helpful thing here is that we'd be grabbing whatever is being passed in. In this case, we're not even really passing in anything, so I'm not really showing this off very well, but what we're going to do is just update the cart, add one more to the cart at this point. And then what I probably want to do is do like a hard refresh, or just increment this. I guess I could do it like as an optimistic update, and then if this fails, I could remove that. Again, now we're handling state kind of between two different components, which means you'd have to set up some kind of, let's see, I don't need this anymore. You'd have to set up a little bit more here to make that really work. But now I've got the server.add to cart, which is what I wanted. So it's a post endpoint where I can basically send it a number, which is useless here. But I guess let's say that we're adding our number to it. That way we feel better about ourselves. All right, so we're actually passing in something of value. And I guess I could just randomly have these things be a certain amount as well. So maybe let's do that. That way I feel like we're doing something there. So let's come over here to our product card, and then what we'll do is just randomly assign a number. So we'll just do like, I guess we're gonna be looping through these anyhow, right? How did we set this up? Let's come back over here. Product wrapper right here. Let's also pass in an index, and we'll just use that. All right, so let's pass in an index is equal to my index. All right, now I'm gonna come over here to the card itself. We're also gonna pull in an index, which will just be a number. And then I'm gonna add the index right here. Like that. Okay, add 1, 0, okay, whatever. Let's do index +1. All right, so I can add 1, add 2, add 3, and that way, like, this will increment differently, just so you can see we're actually doing something of value down this way. So now that we've got all that, the Astro actions set up, what we can do is hit that. So like right here, we can just, if this were a form, we could do this. In this case, we're just clicking a button. But what we're going to do is await Astro actions dot, and then whatever our thing happens to be. So let's make sure that this is an async function right here. We're going to await actions dot add to cart. And in this case, I guess what we need is just to pass it a number, right? So this number will be equal to, now in this case, I actually have this button right here. Let's see. Am I in the card? Product card? Yeah, I am. Where's my button? Okay, right here. So probably the easiest thing is just going to be to add the value of this as index +1. And so then I can just grab the actual button value. So I could say b.dataset. What was it called? Add. And TypeScript's going to be mad because it doesn't know if that exists, but I can add that number to the cart. So if we did that correctly, which it's possible, there are things, worse things that have happened. I'm adding these items right here, and it's not yet showing in the cart, but well, I should be able to let's come over here to my actions right here, and let's console.log to make sure we're actually getting this in here. Something. All right. So if I click on this and I come over this way, is something happening? No, nothing's happening. Okay. Let's come in here. All right, well, you win some, you lose some. Let's figure out what's going on. This doesn't like this. Let's just start by adding like 1 or something like that. No matter what I click. Okay, so that is working. So it is properly updating, and it should have, I was wondering why it didn't, because we are actually adding it to the database, which means when we refresh, it should actually show it there, and it wasn't. So let's go ahead and Can I grab the b.dataset? Just see what this is. So when I click on one of these like this right here, dataset add. Oh, I just need to do, all right, because it's a string value, obviously. So let's make that a number, and then let's try again. So if I add 2 and I refresh, it should be 6. Add 4, it should be 8 or 10 because of math. You can see here that what we're doing is grabbing the individual item. In this case, all we're passing along is a number and updating it over this way. So the other thing we could do is just, for now, just to show kind of how this is working, let's just do window.reload, which, let's see, reload. How do you window.location.reload? There we go. All right, so whenever I click here, I click and it reloads. And then let's go ahead and add in the index here, in the head, we're just gonna add, this is so messy, but view transitions like this. And now we get this, should get this nice little reload. Oh, you know what? I need to just, that's not gonna work because I'm reloading the page manually, hard refreshing it. Which should be just the same as doing this, right? So I guess we can't really transition that with view transitions since it's not a separate page. I mean, we could make it a separate page, I suppose, but I think at this point, we showed off a decent amount about Astro in spite of myself. The Astro DB thing, again, it's super easy if you're used to setting up databases. I usually am working with predefined data that I'm getting since I'm mostly doing front-end stuff. And I don't know if I've set up something with like a one-to-many relationship before with Astro. I'm sure it's super easy, but yeah. So anyhow, hopefully that was helpful, and thanks for following along. I think the Astro server islands are really cool. We've obviously also added actions as well to where we're actually hitting an endpoint. We're using Astro DB. So I've got to play with a couple things. I hope that was helpful. But that's probably all I got time for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Happy coding.